Mountains all along, some green and some crying for it. Crisscrossing streams, long deep valleys, all below the clear blue sky. The flow only gets broken by people treading on arduously, having some mission to accomplish. Nothing deters them, not the rocky hills, nor the virtual inaccessibility of anything and everything that they wish to acquire. Their conviction, perseverance, and unrelenting labor has made them win over the unplowable stones. Their unmatched determination and unfettered spirits keeps them going. Jia may still descend with the drum beats and foot taps uniting together to pulsate the silent valley. This is the story of tribals who are considered to be a symbol of culture but yet continue to be pushed into oblivion. Flanked by the Padibayalu range at a distance of approximately 200 kilometers from Vishakhapatnam are the tribal villages of Paderu division. Andhra Pradesh is the home of nearly 33 tribal groups. It ranks 7th in the country with respect to tribal population. Paderu division of Vishakhapatnam district has a population of approximately 5 lakhs, of which a significant number are primitive tribal groups. 1953 marked a transition in the life of the tribals of Paderu. The construction of the Duduma Dam brought with it the submergence of the tribal habitations and their fertile agricultural land. The dam was constructed at the cost of the tribals, but power that was produced from it was diverted to the urban dwellers. While the tribals were pushed into darkness, the cities stood illuminated. One's loss is another's gain. The conscience has unfortunately stopped being pricked. Left with little option, the tribals were pushed to the remote hills. Their forcible sacrifice had brought them a life of further seclusion. This resulted in a life of economic hardship, exploitation from all, blockage of educational avenues either overtly or covertly, and being left to die without access to the most basic health services. Gradually, the forest that was once theirs was also denied to them by being termed as the destructors. Consequently, these tribes have paid a heavy price in the name of development. In the year 1991, with the support of International Fund for Agricultural Development, Girijan Cooperative Cooperation Limited, a government organization for the tribals, experimented with an innovative idea. They recruited professionals from premier institutes of the country, placed them in remote tribal pockets with the avowed aim of tribal empowerment. The strategy was to develop a team of educated tribal youth that would then go on to work for their own area's development. With the passage of time, the professionals started recognizing that even though their work was going in the right direction, the work environment was very constraining. Subsequently, in the year 1993, like-minded professionals from different streams and some dedicated bureaucrats came forward and formed another organization with the same motive, but with wider visions, a larger viewpoint, and a greater agenda. The organization believed in development through partnership and was thus named Sahyog Community Coordination Network. It is now popularly known as CCN in the area. Walking through the arduous hills and for long distances, the attempt of CCN was to understand what the tribals needed the most. After a long and hard journey, CCN has reached a juncture where it is working in 720 habitations of Munchingput and Padebayalu mandals of Paderu division.
We are identifying the local skilled persons who are already small level they are doing, and trying throw our the educated youth, giving training them, giving more exposures and some kind of input like a capital input, and try to develop a kind of a resource team who can tap it these resources.
CCN facilitates the interventions through 7 community coordination teams, or CCTs as they are better known, spanning 46 panchayats. The anchor of the CCT is the Chief Community Organizer. The Chief Community Organizer has multifarious responsibilities, maintaining liaison with the coordinator of each of the CCN projects, enabling the formulation of the village level micro plans, and supporting the team in the implementation of the plans. The CCO carries out the interventions through the cluster level coordinators, animators and educators from each village. A monthly RRA meeting is held to review, report and plan further action. The endeavour of CCN is to groom suitable tribal youth who would, in the times to come, take on the principal responsibility for carrying on developmental interventions.
So, with the local youth, we can do lots.
CCN would eventually look to grant total independence to CCTs, being there to only provide support where required.
The desire is that all of us be outside and provide the maximum support.
CCN's strategy demanded that education of the tribals be given a primary priority. The tribals needed to assert themselves, and the confidence for assertion would come through education. But the community had to make a centric decision of whether they needed a school or education. For a school, they had to wait for the government to sanction a school. But education could begin with the identification of an educated youth within the community. The community opted for the latter, and that is where the community-owned and managed schools began.
No contribution from the government. You need a school, education, you come, we will have a hut, the educated boy will teach, and the community will contribute either in cash, kind, vegetables, grain, anything.
The community termed them as Uday Kiran schools. The shed was theirs, the teacher was theirs. Gradually support poured in recognition of the community initiative. Ashram schools in the tribal pockets of Andhra Pradesh are meant to provide residential schooling at the upper primary and high school level. Lakshmipuram had one of them, but only because it had been sanctioned. There were few students, proxy teachers, and no education. CCN has always promoted the concept of community-controlled institutions, and here again they advocated for the same. The Lakshmipuram Ashram School became the only school in Andhra Pradesh to be handed over by the government to the community. The change is discernible, with even the children having a say in the functioning of the school. Today, 5 years later, in recognition of the success of this experiment, the government is looking to replicate this model. The climate for education had already been created. The gender gap in education had begun to be bridged. Children were enthused about going to schools, but the inability to clear the board exams held at the 7th and 10th level was resulting in a dropout. The concomitant result was an increasing insecurity and absence of direction amongst the tribal youth. Continuance in education was desired but not attained. The British came in to fulfill this desire. A 90 days crash course for those unable to clear the 7th and 10th standard was instituted. The outcome of the course has been a 90% success rate in the subsequent exams. The course is residential in its design. Being resource intensive in nature, the sustenance of this initiative is contingent to the availability of funds. A sense of alienation from the forest, traditional practices like Podu cultivation, indiscriminate collection of non-timber forest produce, at the behest of the marketing options had led to a massive depletion of the forest cover. Soil erosion, lowering of the soil fertility, and reduction of water levels in the streams were a natural consequence. CCN advocated and promoted the concept of community forest management. The communities responded to it, with every village making a resolve to protect a patch of forest cover for their own survival. The intervention was termed Dongar Sona Bachao, saving the gold of the hills. Every village evolved its own mechanism for doing so, falling back on their traditional forest management system. Their own forest protector was appointed who would, at no cost, allow an encroachment on their gold reserves. The forest. Paddy and ragi are the staple crops amongst the tribals of Paderu. Low land fertility and rain-fed agriculture forced the tribals to have a single crop. Those with small land holdings are unable to have grain for more than 6 months in a year. The concept of grain bank was mooted in response to this. This meant that after an initial deposit of grains by the members, they could withdraw it as per their need. This would then need to be returned with an interest after the harvest. This has saved the tribals from pleading in front of the merchants to get grain that would then need to be returned in double quantity. The monopoly and subsequent exploitation of the moneylenders, the police, the forest officials have been broken with the formation of people's collectives and a consistent reinforcement of the rights of the tribals. Once in a month, a large number of people from across all villages where CCN works gets together for what is termed as a Sangam. Concerns are discussed and strategies evolved to address the immediate and future concerns of the tribals. Deriving inspiration from the adults collective to deal with the injustice and suppression of girls, the adolescents and young women resolved to form a Joi Sangam. Joi in the tribal dialect means fire. Joi signifies the intensity of anger brewing within the girls against the unrelenting suppression, and the formation of a Sangam is a resolve to fight against it. The promulgation of the 73rd Amendment had meant the formal recognition of the Panchayat as an institution that had the ability to plan, implement and monitor programs in accordance with the needs of the people. Given the systemic constraints, the translation of the intent demands that the Panchayat members are aware of their powers and possess the ability to assert and fight their way through. Once elected, information dissemination and active facilitation have been inputs on the part of CCN to the members of all the Panchayats that fall within its project area. Trained CCTs are working for the empowerment of the Panchayats to bring about effective governance at grassroots level. Andhra Pradesh is one of the states that is still to see the implementation of the PISA Act, an attempt to recognize the individuality of the predominantly tribal areas. CCN recognizes governance to be a major focus if the ultimate aim of tribal empowerment is to be attained. Prior to CCN's interventions, the project area was witness to a high infant and maternal mortality rate. In addition, diarrhea, ulcers, malaria, tuberculosis were some of the intense health problems. The interventions of CCN have spanned both the preventive and curative realm. Awareness in the area of antenatal, natal and postnatal care have brought in a substantive decrease in the infant and maternal mortality rate. The focus has been on addressing traditional practices that are detrimental to infant and maternal health. Liaison, to the extent possible, is established with the Anganwadi centers. Campaigns for sanitation are aimed at reducing the vulnerability to malaria and diarrhea. Safe drinking water projects have also been initiated as per the specific needs of the vulnerable habitations.
This is just to prepare a concrete mold.
At some places, the spring water has been blocked. At others, the covered wells are being constructed with filter media. The gravitational force has been used in some to make available safe drinking water at the doorstep. These interventions, it is hoped, would reduce the incidence of waterborne diseases. However, there is a long way to go still. Drinking water is an imminent need that has to be made available to a lot many more habitations. CCN seeks support for it. The total absence of healthcare facilities has been addressed through making available a registered medical practitioner in the project area of CCN. Health emergencies are attended, primary healthcare provided, and referrals are made where required. The most common mishaps in the area, like bear attacks, snake bites, and workplace injuries, are now taken care of immediately. Through the means of CCN, a child suffering from thalassemia requiring regular blood transfusions is also being treated. Being a malaria endemic area, primary health care is but imminent.
CCN's our major vision is that the local resources like land, water, forest, it should be able to control by the local people. So CCN's vision is that if we can build with the help of local youth a resource center where they can learn, they can share their knowledges, and they can give a lot of pressure on the government. They can input to the policy level that what should we do, what should do for tribal development, what kind of approach they should do it. That is our dream, Sudam India. We are having now 55 local team members who is now called community coordination team. This community coordination team consists of the 10 to 15 tribal youth who are the 9 class pass, 10 class pass, who read, who can speak local dialogue, who can speak the Telugu language, who can speak the Adivasi language. With the help of professional, we want to give them training, and all the teams we want to federate and make a kind of resource in the center. This resource center, they will be part and parcel of the resource centers, and tribals, entire these regions, they will be the owner of the institution.
We are looking forward for a formal institute, a social science institute for the tribals, wherein people like Sitaram, they would be the professors, they would be the dean, some of the trained people would be the visiting faculty. And what we feel is if some kind of a fellowship, that is our desire, is that instead of going for long big funding, if the core team people are provided with some kind of a fellowship.
Long is the path, long is the drudgery, long is the vision, but strong is the determination to attain what is rightfully theirs.